Hello and welcome to another Fantasy Premier League video. My name is Steve and this is the second video of a dual upload day for a series I'm trying out. It's going to be more focused on the football, highlighting any in-game situations worth noting that might help us determine who's in contention for selection and poised to do well on the pitch. Now in this video we're going to go through what I've managed to gather from the Liverpool vs Arsenal fixture that was unfortunately not televised here in NZ. We are a little bit handicapped on this side of the world, being in the exact wrong time zone, with lots of games being played at like 2-3 in the morning, but made even more frustrating by pre-season football not being available. Now if anyone out there could shed any light as to why the Liverpool vs Arsenal match was not available on beIN Sports through either Arsenal TV or Liverpool TV, or even through the ESPN channel on Sky Go, please drop me a comment and let me know why it is uber frustrating to have those services not be showing such key matches pre-season. But regardless, I've managed to catch some highlights on YouTube, read through some match notes, and checked through the forums to find the relevant information for the key assets that are worth considering for our teams. So before we jump into it, remember to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel, especially if you get any value out of the following content. Alright, so we'll start off with the Liverpool team, and they have a new manager in charge, Arne Slot. And now I've managed to track down some comments from Arne Slot when he was asked directly about the formation that he likes to play. I think someone said he plays a 4-2-3-1 formation at Feyenoord and had a little bit of a cheeky remark back, but here is what he has said. So sometimes it is a 4-2-3-1, sometimes it is a 4-1-4-1. Sometimes we do build up with a 3, so there's a lot of freedom when we have the ball. But when we don't have the ball, there is not so much freedom. We want to be really aggressive, and there's only one way, and that's everybody mostly keeps his position. I wouldn't put myself in a situation where I say I prefer a 4-2-3-1 or 4-3-3 or a 4-1-4-1. There are a lot of players taking in a lot of different positions. But we did build up a lot of the time with 3 at the back. Fullbacks have very different roles. And he does go on to cheekily comment that whoever was calling his Feyenoord team a 4-2-3-1 formation does need to get their coaching licenses checked, or something to that effect. I probably should have written that comment down. But anyway, in the Arsenal match that was just played, was it yesterday or 2 days ago? They lined up in a 4-3-3 with Kelleher in net, Bradley at right back, Kwanzaa and Vandenberg at centre back, Tsimikas at left back, a midfield 3 of Elliott, Jones and Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai was in my very first draft, which I posted about 5 or 6 days now ago. And then up front we had Salah on the right, Jota playing the number 9 position, and Carvalho on the left. And the only noteworthy sub from the list of subs that I could see there was Endo. It does not look like that many of the constant first teamers that have been away at the Euros or other competitions are back in the squad yet. So based on the lineup that went out, I had some notes for Szoboszlai. Szoboszlai and Elliott both start with a number 9 playing. So in the very first match for Liverpool, they actually played with a false 9, which was Elliott playing as a false 9. It was basically 2 10s. So Szoboszlai and Elliott were playing the 2 10s. Then Salah and Carvalho would come in off the wings to also create the 2 strikers. Sometimes they would say wide, and it would be Szoboszlai and Elliott playing in the centre of the park. And I have a note, will they be used as dual 10s again, or will one of them drop deeper into midfield? This is a very important question for Szoboszlai, as he looked very good when he was playing in that cam role. However, Szoboszlai was actually playing the holding role in this game, with Jones, excuse me, with Jones being a box-to-box midfielder, and Elliott was the man playing in the cam role. Now, Elliott actually earned himself 2 assists in this match, and both were exceptional assists in their own right. We'll go through a little bit of that in some match note detail. There's another note here about Bradley. So Bradley gets another start at right back, with Trent still on holiday from the Euros. Now, this is actually important because if Trent doesn't make it back for any preseason minutes, I imagine Bradley will probably start for the very first game of the season. Now, how long he manages to hold down that spot is probably going to be very brief, so he's probably still going to be in a void, as I do imagine that Trent will come in to fill that role. However, it is Bradley that is the man that is getting the nod at the moment, and with comments out of Pep from Man City, who was saying things like Foden and whoever else was at the Euros will be worked back into the team against Chelsea and Ipswich, doesn't sound like Foden might not even be ready for that first game in game week 1, which is probably the case for any of his compatriots like Trent Alexander-Arnold, who was playing in the same team. So Bradley could get the first couple of games for the season in 2 weeks' time. That's something to keep an eye on. Jota starts up front, which I imagine won't be part of a false 9 system. Still no other recognised first-team strikers on the bench, though, so it might just be that Jota is back first, ? And then there's a note here about Salah, who, if any of you out there have seen my first draft video, you will know that I am aiming for a Haaland and Salah draft going into game week 1. So I am quite keen to see what Salah is generating in this new system with Arne Slot in charge. Salah and Carvalho will be operating as more normal wing forwards this game, as opposed to the false 9 system that often had 4 across the front line in either a 4-2-4 or a 3-3-4 formation that Slot's fluid tactics flow through at various times during the game. So as you'll note at the start of this, Arne Slot was a bit cheeky about the amount of different formations that the players move through on the pitch, and that does actually play out in real game situations already for Liverpool. There are players all over the park. Either way, I would expect Salah and Carvalho to be a lot more central, unless Slot does continue with some sort of in-game formation that pushes 4 men up in a flat 4 across the front line. So this was kind of the notes that I had, kind of trying to find answers to what might have been going on in this fixture. And so here are some key moments from the game to try and highlight the answers to those questions. Now, Salah goal, Elliott assist. Jota, with great strength, received a long bouncing ball from Carvalho, holding off Gabriel, and nodding an awkwardly bouncing ball down into Elliott's path just inside his own half. Elliott with a first-time through ball into the gap left by Gabriel, which is perfectly weighted for Salah's run in behind. Salah uses his pace to cut across Gabriel, leaving him 1-on-1, but 3 defenders close behind. Salah slots the ball far post with a calm, clinical finish under pressure, giving Carvalho no chance. Carvalho, though, was slow to come out. He had a full field sprint's notice that Salah was bearing down on him, and he left lots of the goal to aim for with his chosen positioning. Now, I don't think anyone out there thinks that Carvalho is going to keep Alisson out of the team, but if for some reason Alisson isn't available for game week 1 and Kelleher is in net, it is something potentially to keep an eye on in terms of defensive solidity from any of the Liverpool players that you may be considering. A second in-game moment, Carvalho goal, Elliott assist. So this is Elliott's second goal, second assist. The first one was actually just a perfect bouncing first time through ball into the path of Salah. This one, a peach of a chip through ball from Elliott in behind for Carvalho to hit an over the shoulder volley in at the near post from about 9 yards out. Now that was actually an exceptionally taken goal by Carvalho, because any ball that is coming over your shoulder and that needs to be hit on the volley is one of the most hardest balls to connect with, and he did so very well. But the through ball chip from Elliott was, I don't even know how he thought about that, because he was kind of not even facing the right way when he started to hit that chip through ball, and he just scoops it up and over into his path very well. Now it could have actually been more for Elliott. So Elliott feeds Jota in for a huge chance, but Jota's shot hits the post from 7 yards out. So that could have potentially been 3 assists against Arsenal, and a pretty stacked Arsenal team as well. Elliott with a great chance to cut back in the box or to pass the ball to Salah, who is open. He opts for the former, but doesn't create enough space, allowing Havertz to tackle him cleanly. So if Elliott had have just scooped the ball on a bit more of a backwards 45-degree angle, it would have made it much harder for Havertz to actually tackle him, and who knows, he could have even been brought down for a penalty. So Elliott is definitely getting involved in the mix, playing in this cam role. However, he seems to have a 2-star weak foot. Elliott completely mishits the shot on his weak foot. Looks like he's got a 2-star weak foot. Elliott's a left-footed player. Hits the ball with his right foot and completely scuffs the shot. And the only other notable key moment that I could manage to find from this match was that Kwanzaa had a great performance, made some huge tackles, saving some close, some chances that would have been huge chances for the attacker had he not intercepted. He was also shutting down the attackers very well in that game. And so from a Liverpool standpoint, they actually dominated Arsenal in this game, and they still have not had Trent Alexander-Arnold, Robertson, Virgil, Gakpo, Nunez or Diaz have not featured at all for Liverpool in their pre-season matches yet. They didn't play in this game, and yet Liverpool still managed to outplay a very strong Arsenal squad. So from the Arsenal side of this match, they actually lined up in a 4-3-3 against Liverpool. They had Hein in net, White at right back, Kiwior and Gabriel as the 2 centre backs, with Zinchenko coming in at left back. Across the middle 3 we had Odegaard, Partey and Havertz, which is a bit of a warning for any of you out there that are considering putting Havertz in your squad. He is now listed as a forward in FPL. He was playing in the middle of the park in this match against Liverpool. And then across the front line we had Nelson on the right, as Saka is still not available yet, Jesus up front, which is also quite interesting, and Martinelli out on the left. And the only noteworthy subs that were on the team sheet were Nketiah, Trossard, Jorginho and Fabio Vieira. Now I have some little notes down here about Havertz and Jesus. Jesus is playing in the 9, meaning Havertz, who has been switched to a forward in FPL this year, was playing on the left of a 3 in midfield. So there's a warning for Havertz not playing as a solo striker anymore. In terms of the defense at Arsenal, Ricardo Calafiore was sitting sideline watching as he just joined Arsenal a couple of days prior to the match. Now he's sure to take minutes off of someone in defence, but it's yet to be seen who and how many of those minutes he's likely to gobble up. Now Calafiore plays either left centre-back or left-back, so it's likely that the left-footed players of Gabriel and Zinchenko are most at risk here. Gabriel is of particular risk. He was dropped when Arteta played a surprisingly different backline system in the first game of last season that consisted of Thomas Partey at right back, Ben White at right centre back, Saliba at left centre back, and Timber at left back, meaning Gabriel was not even in the squad. So we will have to keep a very close eye on this as game week 1 approaches. Now, Gabriel and Saliba are both listed as premium defenders in FPL. We'll just bring up Arsenal over here. You see Saliba at 6 million, Gabriel at 6 million, owned by 11, almost 12%. Saliba at 41%, probably because he has got more assurity of minutes. He did play every single game last season at 38 starts with a little hammer icon because, of course, he is nailed in that squad. However, Arteta did mention in a recent press conference that he was pretty unhappy with the fact that he had to play Saliba every single game, and the only reason that he did do that was due to a lack of personnel to come in and replace him. So we also have Jurrien Timber floating around at Arsenal as well, and so that backline at Arsenal could be very hard to predict for game week 1, and we may need to see a few game weeks worth of first teamers out on the pitch to have any sort of idea of who is actually going to be nailed in that Arsenal backline if you are looking to invest in Arsenal. Let's put that up a little bit higher. Right, the key moments from Arsenal. Now, I couldn't actually find a hell of a lot here, apart from, of course, the goal. So, Havertz's goal, Odegaard assist. Now, Martinelli's shot is headed by Kwanzaa, but he only deflects it to the far post to Odegaard. Now, Odegaard's shot deflects off Carvalho and into Havertz's general area, who reacts quickly and hooks the ball in at the far post. So even though Havertz isn't actually playing striker and he is playing in that central midfield role, when they are in their attacking shape, Havertz does seem to press and get a little bit further forward. So that is still some good signs from Havertz. However, 8 million for a forward who's not playing up front is a little bit of a risk in terms of FPL. However, for this goal for Arsenal, Tsimikas has completely sold himself the wrong way here. Now, he's made a diving lunge out of defence, trying to block what looks like a pass across or potentially a shot far post, but he's just pulled himself completely out of position, which gives Odegaard all the space in the world to pick and choose what he wants to do. Odegaard chooses to shoot, and it deflects towards Havertz and goes in at the far post. There's still a few players yet to feature in that Arsenal squad. We have not seen the likes of Saliba, Saka or Rice. Now, these are some very core key players to come back to this Arsenal squad. Declan Rice in particular definitely shores up the midfield and slows down the flow through midfield. Declan Rice is probably one of the hardest workers in the Premier League. He is all over the pitch, all game, non-stop, box to box. Man has a serious engine on him, and he will always be missed by an Arsenal team when you don't have a player like that in there. Still, Arsenal did have a pretty strong team and seem to have been dominated for large parts of the match. I think a big part of this is actually the fact that Liverpool were just all over the park. They were flowing through various formations. Sometimes they had 5 to 6 players out wide trying to stop the, shut down the 2 men on the wing. It was very much a high energy based system, which will be interesting to see how that progresses in terms of fatigue for the players across the season. But we will have to wait and see. So this video a little bit shorter than the Chelsea one, as it was a little bit harder to find information on this game considering it wasn't televised over here in New Zealand. But hopefully that provides a little bit more of an overview for some of the key players from 2 very key teams that we will be looking to fill our squads up with in game week 1. But alright, that wraps up this video. So don't forget to like and subscribe and leave us a comment to tell us what you think. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all again next time.